All right. Well, all right. So Facebook, we're back. Sorry about that. I was excited because Instagram is going crazy over here, and Facebook, I forgot about you. Anyways, so this is episode number 31. I'm getting ready to wrap up season 2 of the Open Heart Collective. I'm so stoked and excited to have my guest Faye on tonight. So that being said, Faye, my friend, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Faye. I never really know what to say about myself. I'm just kind of a mental health blogger on Instagram. I started speaking about like my struggles with anorexia, and then after that I just kind of documented my journey, and I just kind of talk to a lot of people now about it. They all started following me along the way, and here I am.
Amazing. So this show started, like I said, back in March. This show started because I noticed, being in the music world, being an entrepreneur, that one thing that we're not talking about nearly enough is mental health. We're in this weird ecosystem and culture right now where we always have to be hustling. We always have to be on the go. We always have to be proactive about this, that, or the other thing. And we always have to go and execute, right? Because, I mean, we're talking the whole social media Gary V philosophy that's going on there right now. And honestly, we haven't been proactive about our own mental health and the mental health of those in the community around us. So that's why we have this show, because we want to give an open, raw, real look at mental health through a couple of different ways. Obviously, we want to hear your story, so I'm going to ask you to go a little bit more into depth about that. But secondarily to that, I want to know, okay, what were those obstacles that you had to overcome? Because we've all had to overcome the obstacles.
I mean, I've had a fair few.
And then third, and this is the important part, because everybody, when it comes to mental health, we can talk about the bad times, right? We can talk about those obstacles. We can talk about what's gotten in our way. But the one thing that we're not talking about is, okay, well, all of this other positive, really cool, exciting stuff has happened since. So we got to talk about the struggle. We got to talk about what those obstacles were, and then how you overcame them, and then where are you at now and what's exciting in your world. So, yeah.
Cool.
So that being said, the floor is yours, my friend.
Pardon? Sorry, what did you say? You cut out.
I said the floor is yours, my friend.
Oh God, under the pressure now. So I started struggling with mental health issues when I was about 13. I guess it kind of started with depression, and then it developed into like eating disorders and kind of like suicidal tendencies. And it's just been an on and off battle since then, really. Like, I've had good times and I've had really bad times, and at the moment I'm working my way back into a really good time, but it's just like a very long journey. Yeah.
Okay. So you said your issues started around 13, which is interesting. Mine started around 13. So yeah, I'm quite a bit older than you, but mine started around the same time. So that's a really important, pivotal time for a lot of adolescents growing up, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So they say if something traumatic happens right around the age 13, you tend to go one or two ways. You either remember everything or you forget everything. And when my parents split up when I was 13, I opted to go to the side that forgot everything. So I have a lot of experience with eating disorders, and those of you guys who have paid attention to the show throughout the first 2 seasons now, you've heard my stories with suicide, but I'm going to ask Faye to go a little bit deeper with hers, and like, what were some of those cues and what happened in your world? Obviously, I'm not going to force you to talk about anything you don't want to talk about, but this is a platform that is a safe place for people, and this community is a safe space. So we're allowed to share those things that maybe we wouldn't share in other avenues, because that's the culture that's being developed here.
So, well, the reason mostly it started for me when I was 13 was when I was about 7, I became really physically unwell, and I spent most of my childhood like very, very dangerously ill and very in pain and suffering. And then obviously like growing up with the knowledge constantly that I could die very soon, it does have a huge effect on your mental health when you're stopped from living a normal childhood. So obviously by the time I was 13, I was very, very fed up of living that kind of life.
Right.
And I felt that it was never going to end for me. I was never going to get better. And it just kept going downhill health-wise for me. And I was feeling all these feelings that no one really explained to me. Like I would see like a hospital psychologist, and at 8 years old, she asked me if I was anxious. And I'm sorry, but what 8-year-old knows what anxiety is, or has had someone sit down and explain what that means to them? So obviously, like 8-year-old me just sat there like, no, I'm fine. So that's kind of where it all started and began developing for me. And then by the time I was 13, I took my first overdose and attempt to take my life, which fortunately, like, it wasn't too bad, and my family helped sort me out, and I went into the hospital. But I didn't ever really get any help straight away after that. I didn't get what I needed. So then obviously my mental health issues just kind of got to run loose and run wild, and just progressed and progressed from there. And then eventually they turned into anorexia when I was about 14. I spent my first 7 months in a psychiatric hospital, and it wasn't really helpful. I just kind of did what I could to get out as soon as possible. And
Right.
it never really, really helped me like move on from my issues. You'd have like therapy once a week, and that was it. So I got out and I did well for about 2 or 3 months. And then I was still experiencing like all the depression, all the feelings of an eating disorder. And
Right.
before I'd gone into the hospital, they told me once I was weight restored, it was all going to go away. I'd be fine. And I obviously came out weight restored, and things still weren't fine. And I felt like some kind of huge, weird failure for that. So I thought that I'd done something wrong and that it was my fault. So I didn't tell anyone that I was still experiencing depression and stuff like that.
Right.
So I kept it all to myself for about 10 months after coming out of there, until I took a major, major attempt on my life where I decided to take on an oncoming train. And I was fortunate to survive it and walk away from it. But I then went and spent more time in a psychiatric hospital, which, again, it didn't help me. And I would honestly say that my time there made my issues a lot worse than they perhaps could have been had I not have gone into the hospital, because I didn't receive like sufficient care or like anything that would have helped me. So again, I did what I could just to get out, and then they like released me and discharged me from hospital. And then within another month, I'd been readmitted because they didn't think I was safe enough to be out. And within that final submission of like 2 weeks of being in there, I kind of was just like, I need to do what I can to get out of here because it's just making me worse. So you basically just have to be on your best behaviour to get out and convince them. So I convinced them, and I got out, and I started doing really, really well and flourishing with my life until I was about 17, 18. And then unfortunately, due to other life circumstances and life events that happened to me, that I relapsed and have kind of been in and out of relapse since then.
No, I'm.
Was that a bit too much?
No, absolutely not. I pause for the purpose of catching my breath. Because it you shared a lot in like 10 minutes, and which is
have I gone?
Faye's gone. Hold
Didn't
on.
want to be there anymore.
All right, Instagram is apparently just. Sorry about that, guys. Getting her back on now. That was weird. Sometimes technology just works in this way, right?
See, I told you this was why I was dubious as to it was going to work.
Oh, connection. I mean, I'm glad everybody's wanting to hear this, so that this is important.
I mean, I hope they are. I hope I'm not just waffling on like I do.
All right, I think we're good.
We're back.
We're back. Connection's a little slow, but we'll make it work. And guys, so if you're watching this right now and you're wanting to take part in the Facebook live stream, if Instagram isn't working out well for you, go into my profile. What? I'm not going to acknowledge bullshit comments. Anyways, so guys, if you're wanting to catch this and actually have a real part of this conversation, head over to my Facebook page right now. You can go into my profile and find my Facebook button. And yeah, anyways, Instagram will kind of cater to you as we can. In the meantime, the conversation still has to be had. So Faye, you'll understand this about me. I don't tolerate bullshit comments in any video. Oh, I can only imagine.
I did a live the other day, and some guy just decided to start requesting nudes the whole way through, and I was like, "Oh, bless him."
Like it's, oh, you're kind of there on Instagram, so we'll roll with it. All right, so I've had personal experience with eating disorders as well. So not me, but my ex-wife actually suffered with anorexia and bulimia for a period of about 10 years. And I've been in the institutions alongside her when it happened. And you are a strong human being for coming out of that, because at least here in the US, it's, the world doesn't, the mental health systems aren't here to help. Really, they're here to medicate, right? Mm-hmm. And that's a problem. And that's a problem. I'm hoping shows like this and a few others that I'm starting to see pop up are taking that approach head on, because this needs to be fixed. We need to not just medicate. We need to actually treat, actually talk, actually have these types of conversations, because it's that important. And I mean, and yeah, it's, so all of those occurrences happened.
Yeah.
And then you started Instagram. Like what was that? So how did you overcome those obstacles?
So I was in the most desperate space, like mind space. I was literally trying everything and anything like safely that I could do to help myself, because I think I'd just come to this point in my life where I was 17. I didn't know what to do anymore. Like, right. Obviously, I'd gone down the medication route that hadn't worked for me. I'd been in hospitals that hadn't worked for me. I'd been in and out of therapy my whole life. That hadn't worked for me. So far, the only two things I really had was art and like dance. And I remember one night I was just kind of like scrolling.
Can you go back onto Instagram? Instagram booted you off. Sorry, guys.
Instagram's just got an issue with me.
See, this is why we do Instagram and Facebook, because Instagram tends to piss me off.
I think my phone's crashed. Hold on.
Did your phone overheat? Because that tends to happen too.
Yeah, my phone's overheated.
Hey guys, on Instagram, I'm sorry to do this to you. I know you're wanting to hear more of Faye's story, but unfortunately, Faye's phone is just overheated. So
Instagram's letting me down after all this.
Yeah, it happens. I'm sorry, guys. So what I want you to do right now is go from this video that you're watching right now to my Facebook page, which you can find via the link in my profile. So go to my profile right now, click it, and then find that video. Plus, later on tonight, I will also do a little swipe up from my feature, and I'll tag Faye so that you guys can catch the remainder of the interview there. But also don't worry, because the video will live on forever in Facebook and YouTube, and then the audio podcast will be out later in the week. So sorry, guys, on Instagram. I know you're really stoked about this, but Facebook, we're back to you now. So bye, Instagram. Like we were doing really, really well on Instagram.
I mean, we can try again.
I mean, I'm not worried about it.
You know?
Because then we'll just share it on Instagram later anyways.
Awesome.
So I'm not super worried about it. Phone. This is the 4th time I've had somebody's phone overheat in the midst of a show.
I mean, it is working now, and it did let me just view your live. So.
Huh. Let's take 2.
We can try again.
All right. Sorry, Facebook. We're getting back into this, but we obviously want to be able to have the conversation where everybody's at. And right now, Facebook, you're kind of quiet. But Facebook's always quiet. Hey, Instagram, I'm back. And Faye's going to be joining me again. So we're going to try this for a second, like a 3rd time now, I guess. But
sorry, I was viewing your story, not watching your live video.
It happens. What's up, Dan? What's going on, Jake? Getting everybody ready to go here. So, hello, Katrina. Thank you for waving. We got engagement going on all the platforms now.
Oh wow, magic!
All right, so Facebook, Instagram is up and running, by the way. So if you're wanting to hop back in,
well, I'm on your live.
You are.
Bear with me. It's not giving me the same options as it was. There we go.
Technology.
Now I'm there.
There you are. All right, so maybe we just needed to have it like freak out for a second and then it'll be fine.
Maybe that was it.
We'll see. Worst case scenario.
You're back. I'm back. Is it working?
All right. So we're going to have to talk a little bit quieter, not be as high energy, because apparently that's what broke Instagram last time. So
it's calm.
Everybody's back now. All right,
so you know, people say hi. That's lovely. Sorry, I don't do this often.
Except I can't hear you on Instagram. So Instagram, rather than to go through all this rigmarole again, Facebook is the place to be. So we'll see you guys. Yeah,
it's just not.
It's not liking it. So, oh well. I don't want to hold it up anymore. Anyways, we can always just share this on Instagram. It'll be good.
Exactly.
Because I'll get you the link for it as soon as we're done. All right. Amazing. Now we're back.
Now we're ready to go.
Now we're ready. All right. So thank you guys on Facebook for bearing with us during that weird little tech glitch that was happening over in the Instagram world.
You should look at the screen.
Oh, poor screen.
Cracks.
Poor screen. Anyways, all right. So I was commenting before a brief little intermission there that your pure strength for going through what you went through and that you came out of it. And like I was saying, the mental health system here in America is not towards recovery. It's towards rehabilitation, right? Because rehabilitation is about medication, is about the control over you in that process, rather than allowing you to move through that process freely. So, and that's just my interpretation of it. I'm not a certified medical professional. I'm just a person with a loud voice.
Shouting on Facebook.
But anyways, so you're out of the hospital now, and what did you have to do to really overcome those obstacles? And I know it's probably a continual circumstance, and it's not like a one time and you're better, but what are those things that you put into your life that allowed you to overcome the obstacles and not have to be as what's the word I'm looking for? Be as negatively impacted, I guess.
So much every day. So every day is kind of like different for me. So I'll have good days and bad days. And if I hit a bad spell, I don't always necessarily know that I'm in a bad spell as well. So I kind of have to, usually my mum will be the first one to say something to me like, you need to sort yourself out.
Moms are good for that.
Oh, she's really good for it. Like, I don't realize half the time, like, I'm doing my own thing, and then she's like, things aren't too great for you. Time to pick yourself up and put yourself back together. So the first thing I need to do is kind of figure out like what the problem is, like what is actually wrong. Is it my eating disorder? Am I just depressed? Is it anxiety? And
Right.
then I literally have to strip it all back to basics and basically just start at basic self-care. So like, have I drunk enough? Have I showered today? Have I eaten? Have I gotten dressed? Have I left the flat? And I start off with those like really basic things. And if I've done those, and it can be like, well, have I done something I enjoyed today? What can I do that I will enjoy? Have I pole danced today? Have I made some art today? Have I baked? Have I gone outside? Have I gone for a walk? And then it's like, do the basic self-care, and then you can do like the fun self-care for me, rather than just rolling around in my pajamas in my bed, not moving.
I mean, hey, I commend you. It's nearing 1 a.m. where you are right now, and you're like in the heart of this, and I appreciate that. But I think people take it for granted, just that simple stuff, and what that can really do to get your head in the right space. And I definitely don't think that we do, as humans on this planet, we don't do self-love and self-care enough, myself included.
I think it's impossible to do it enough until you realize that you need to do it. But I think a lot of people also don't take for granted how exhausting it can be. So like if you're constantly having to think about the basic needs every day, and wow, something just popped up on my screen and I wasn't expecting that.
Sorry. I have the ability to share comments during the midst of the video. So I want to take a moment to read Katrina's post, because I mean, it's here, and I want to acknowledge her in this moment. So her comment says, I went into a rehab center in 2009, and they kicked me out after 2 weeks, saying I was good to go, even though I didn't agree, and ended up becoming highly dependent on multiple medications. Gotta love the health system in America. But Faye, the world needs more brave people like you, willing to share your story. You're amazing. So this, my friends, is why this show exists. If for no other reason, we had the chance to help one person today. And that's important to me. So, and the only way that we're going to fix this whole, like, sorry, my light decided to like blind me for a moment there. The only way that we're going to fix the problem around mental health is if we fix the problem around mental health. No legislation is going to do it. No government is going to do it for us. It's on us. And so what does that mean? We actually have to be good human beings, is what that means. Like, care about people. Like, one of the main reasons why I wanted you on the show, Faye, is one, I don't even know how I started following you, to be honest, but I was following your content and more or less your story, and I was just like, all right, I've got to talk to this person and learn a little bit more about them, because I want to give you a platform to allow your voice to be heard. And we all need to do this together. So I'm going to take a brief momentary pause, because we're about halfway through, and I like to kind of take a breath for a moment and say that if you are an individual who is struggling, there are resources out there to help you. Now, regardless of where you are in the world, there are resources to help you, whether they're easy to find or not. And oftentimes they're really complicated to find, especially the resources that are helping you in your particular situation. I actually tried this the other day. I typed in, I'm struggling with depression on Google. And the first thing that popped up was an Australian chat forum about depression. And I was in Chicago, Illinois. Explain how that worked. I mean, kudos on their SEO, but I mean, it didn't really work for me in my situation. So what me and several of my guests are working on compiling is a global resource list. And then my objective in the year 2019 is to turn that into an app. And that app is going to be full of all the resources across the globe, regardless of what it is that you're struggling with, from alcoholism to eating disorders to depression to anxiety. Whatever it is, you'll be able to get at it. Now, obviously, the only way that we're going to do that is with a massive team of people scouring the world for every and all possible resource. As you can imagine, guys, that's going to take time, but we're going to release several iterations of this before the app goes public. But wanted to comment that to you. I also like to make myself readily available as a resource for people. If you're struggling with anything and God forbid you go to Google and you type depression and you get inundated with information, and oftentimes when you're struggling with anxiety, getting 4 million search hits on Google is going to only make it worse. So I like to make myself readily available. And what that means to each and every one of you is, if you need somebody to talk to, because oftentimes when you're struggling, all you need is an ear to listen. You just need somebody to listen to, because you don't want people giving you advice because they don't know you, right? My phone number right here, or that rings, this literal cell phone right here, this thing here. For those of you guys who are listening to this in the audio version that's going to come out later, you don't see me holding up my cell phone right now. But to those of you guys who are watching the video, you get it. It's in my Instagram profile. Call me. I don't know all the answers. I don't even claim to know all the answers. But I want to be there for you if you need somebody to listen. And maybe I can help point you into a resource that can help you, or at least point you in the direction of finding help. So if you're struggling, or you know somebody who is struggling, please reach out to me, to Faye, to somebody. Reach out, because we are here and you're not alone. All right, now that I got that out of the way. And I don't mean to say that in a sarcastic sense. I just, that it halfway through, if people actually listen to the entirety of an hour, I want them to know halfway through that this is really about them. So,
yeah, definitely.
and not about me, because I get that, oh, you're just pandering for attention thing. I'm like, no. Anyways, so self-care, self-love is a really important piece for you. And I commend you for identifying that at your age, or at the age in which you did, because that is going to help you so much more down the road than you can probably think of right now. Being that I am 14 years your senior, I wish that would have been the case for me. I didn't figure it out that early.
I mean, I think I've been really lucky in the fact that I've had a really strong role model and guidance through the whole way. That was basically my mum who supported me, and she's only ever been the clear voice through all of the therapists that I've seen, of every professional that I've seen. She was the first person who turned around to me and said that my eating disorder wasn't about food or weight; it was about how I felt about myself.
Right.
And that rang true with me. I was 16 and I completely hated who I was. And it was never about I didn't want to eat, or I wanted to be skinny, or I wanted to be pretty. It was about my lack of control over my life and everything around me, and the way that food enabled me to have a form of control. And I think a lot of the time being in psychiatric hospitals only made me grab onto that control more when I could have it, so that as soon as everyone's back to the term, I would just latch on back to my eating disorder, and it became a horrible kind of habit and a vicious circle for me.
Right. And I know, based on my experience and what I've encountered over my life, it's not something that just goes away. It's not something like depression really that can be as easily managed, because it is so deep rooted in our feelings and our emotions towards ourselves. But what are some of those things that you're, outside of practicing self-love, what are those things that you're either telling yourself on a daily basis or working through with yourself on a daily basis that continue to put you in that positive mind frame?
At the moment, it's kind of like I've got some really exciting things happening in my life. So I've got university, and I'm currently training to become a pole dance instructor. So every day I wake up and like my instinct is to skip meals or like not eat enough and just kind of be a bit of a dick to myself really, and just kind of not be too nice to myself. And then I think about like how horrible like physically I feel when I do those things, and like how much it affects my body and how ill I feel. And then I think about what happens when I do eat and I do things that I feel happy about. And, you know, if I get myself out of bed and I get myself into the shower, how much more achieved I feel if I do that opposed to staying in bed. And I literally have to play like a game of bargain with myself all day. So it's like, right, you only have to do it for 5 minutes. If you enjoy it for that 5 minutes, you can do it for like 10 minutes more. And it's like a constant, like, it's just a battle and a bargain. It's like bargaining with a toddler. You can have dessert if you eat your dinner, basically. And yeah, it's the way I have to play things at the moment, but it kind of works for me. So it was like today, for instance, I really didn't want to get out of bed and go buy a sketchbook. And then I was like, well, if you go to the closer shop, then that's like less time you have to be out of the house. You can manage that. And then I was like, but I also need to go to this other shop to get shampoo and conditioner. So I was like, well, if we just bargain to go to one store, and if that feels okay, then we can go to the next one and then come home. You know, we'll just play it by ear. And I managed to get out and I managed to get the sketchbook, but I didn't manage to make it to the second shop before I retreated back to my lovely cocoon of safety. But yeah, every day is different, and you've just got to work to what you can cope with on that day and not blame yourself if you can't do like the highest thing you plan to achieve on that day. Like, as small as it is, it's an achievement and you still managed. Especially when you're like, if you live alone as well, you have to be the one to motivate yourself to do it every day. There's no one else going to be around to do it for you. So you've got to be like, you've got to acknowledge your own achievements, give yourself a pat on the back at the end of the day, be like, yeah, I did that. Go me. Yeah.
You said a lot of really important things just then, but I want to pull out one in particular. And that's what, and that was, you got to do what feels right and feels good for you. Mm-hmm. So what works for Faye or what worked for me may not work for you, but that's okay. Find what works for you. If it's going to that one shop, or maybe it's going to 2 shops instead of 3, or just stepping outside to get fresh air rather than not going outside. You will know what's right for you in the moment. And you will also know when to retreat and when to push forward. But that's on you to determine. It's not on me. It's not on Faye. It's not on any, and I repeat this, it's not on any mental health professional's responsibility to tell you what feels right to you. You'll know. You just got to trust yourself a little bit more than you did yesterday. And I think that's an important thing too. So now that we've covered the darkness, we've covered the struggle, we covered what we did to overcome the struggles. Mm-hmm. I want to talk about those really exciting things in your world right now. Like, let's spend a couple minutes in that. And because no mental health story is complete without knowing that you can do more. You can get out of that spot that you're in, that darkness doesn't have to follow you forever.
I think also, as well, alongside that, it's important to remember that you can still do fun and exciting things whilst the darkness is still lingering within you. Because just because you're suffering with mental health doesn't mean that's all you do all day. I mean, you're still going to have a life ongoing alongside that. And life, unfortunately, it doesn't stop just because you've got depression or you've got PTSD, or like, there's still going to be life out there, and you can do both. You can be mentally unwell and you can do things that make you happy alongside that. There is nothing stopping you other than yourself.
That if I had a microphone, that's when I would just dropped it. Anyways, so yeah, that's very true. On to those exciting things. So what are you studying at uni?
I study illustration at uni, and I've just gone into my second year.
Nice.
So my first year at uni, I was studying graphic design, media communication, and I stuck out the whole first year and realised I absolutely detested it. It was a miserable course, and I hated it. It was grim. It was a horrible, horrible thing. So I decided to change course and study illustration, which is so much more fun because basically, like, illustration is the driving license to the art world. You can go wherever you want with it and do whatever you want with it.
Right.
So just coming into my second year, we've really like hit the ground running with like our projects and just making art like all day, every day at the moment, which is kind of ideal, really.
That sounds amazing, by the way. I just want to note that making art all day, every day is an incredible thing. If you get the chance to do that, or if that's your life's passion and you have the skill to allow yourself to do that, please, for yourself and everybody else in your world and the world around you, do it, because the world needs more art.
It really does.
Regardless of what that art is. It could be music, it could be illustration, it could be literature, it could be film. The world needs more art. Period.
For sure.
I mean, I come from the music world, and music is my saving grace. Music and pretty much my family are my saving grace on a daily basis. And I love being a dad. Like, they drive me insane. Like, before this episode, I was running around frantic, getting them from one place to the other, and I'm like, girl, I'm not going to be on time. But I'm like, wait a second, why am I getting all frustrated? I shouldn't be frustrated. I get to do this every day. And yeah, it gets to be cumbersome. It's not always easy, but guess what, guys? Nothing worth it in life ever comes easy. Right? That's why we go to school. That's why we work, because we like money, we like education, we like knowledge. All those things are important. So, and then you said something about actually certifying yourself, becoming certified as a pole dance instructor. Like,
yeah, so
I caught your Instagram story earlier, and I was just like, I don't even know how people do that. Like, physics. Yeah.
There is no physics. It's gone.
Yeah. Like, I've watched it, and I'm like, I don't even know how that's physically possible. Anyways,
sometimes I watch it back and I'm like, but actually, how am I holding onto the pole? There are no hands or feet on. What, is that just a me? Yeah. So at the moment, I'm working towards taking my pole instructor training, and then hopefully starting a little business where I run classes and start teaching people how to dangerously fly around the room.
I mean, come on, guys. If that doesn't inspire you, I don't know what does. I mean,
if that's not going to make you feel great about yourself, there's nothing left.
There you go. I mean, I do other things to make myself feel great about myself. I'm not going to try it. Like, I'll leave that to you. I got my own stuff.
We'll get you a lot of crash mats.
See, I rock climb. That's my thing. I really enjoy rock climbing.
I've done it a few times, and it is pretty sick, to be honest.
It is painful. I'm sore for a day or two afterwards, but yeah, like, it all comes down to you guys are going to know what's right for you.
Definitely.
And the world will try to tell you it's wrong. The world will try to tell you, no, you need to do this thing instead. Cut out the noise, because they don't know you. It's that. I'm trying to think of an adjective. It's that little story that you always hear, like, or that always that. God damn it! What was I trying to say? See, the joys of live video and live audio, ladies and gentlemen. See, I don't always know the right thing to say. Nobody knows you, right? It's the whole, they got to walk a mile in your shoes before they can judge your life.
Definitely. Like, I used to get slut shamed for pole dancing when I was 16. Like, I was really secretive about the fact that I did it, but I told a few people, and they kind of like slut shamed me for doing it. And now, 4 years on, look at me, like, I'm flying around the room happy as pie, and that's the only time I'm fully happy and being myself. So, you know, I'm not saying you're all going to be pole dancers. I'm just saying you're going to find one thing. You're
going to find your own pole dancing.
Exactly. You're going to find something in this world. It might be a few things. It might be one thing. But, like, no matter what it is or how big or how small, You don't let other people try to ruin it or put it down or belittle it. If it makes you happy, it makes you happy.
I mean, guys, I really can't even say anything more than that right now. That's it. Find what makes you happy. Now, obviously, you're going to go through hell to find what makes you happy, right? Doesn't come easy.
Many awkward yoga classes.
Right. You're going to be challenged. You're going to be challenged. This is not going to come easy. 7 years into this entrepreneurial journey for myself, and it's not been an easy one. Like, guys, I'm 7 years in, and I'm still blood, sweat, and tears bootstrapping this thing. Like, this whole show came because I got tired of seeing musicians that I looked up to die, because we don't have a safe place for people to say, I'm hurting, I need help. And that being said, I'm starting something up next week. I'm going to take a couple weeks off from producing this show because I'm going to do something just a little bit deeper. And I hope you guys can take part. Twice a month, starting in October, or starting next week. I'm going to host a 2-hour, or what I'm calling an office hour session of the Open Heart. But it's going to be done via Zoom call. I don't care where you are in the world. It doesn't matter to me. If you have something to say, or you just want to be a set of ears to listen and a heart to be open, that'll be the place for you. Because some people aren't as brave as Faye or the other 30 guests I've had on the show that are open in sharing their stories publicly. But we all need somebody to listen, and I figure why not create a community around it. So that's going to launch next week. Have not yet determined the day. I've got to check my schedule because running a couple companies makes things a little bit confusing. But this is important to me, and I hope it's important to you guys. So stay tuned on my social media for more on that. Faye, what is the best place for people to connect with you?
On Instagram at Freeing Faye.
I love it. So I'm going to make sure to tag that down in the comment section or the caption section of the video.
Yeah, don't be afraid to message me. I might take a day or two to get back to you, but I will eventually get there. Also, don't send me nudes. I've had enough of that. Thank you.
I still don't understand that whole ethos, guys. Come on now.
And ladies, it's not just guys. Both? And ladies.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about this. It's 2018. Why?
Stop. I'm not going to see a picture of your fufa or your winky and go, yes, I select you to be the chosen husband of my dreams or wife of my dreams. You're just going to get ignored, if anything. Send me memes. I'll speak to you if you send me memes.
And say something of value, right? Like, that's my mission. I want to put as much value into the world as possible because there's enough people trying to take it. And now it's to put enough light into the world because there's too much darkness. I say that as I sarcastically sit in a black shirt in a darkly lit room.
It's going to bring so much light.
But all right, so we'll connect on Instagram. I would also recommend you, Faye, start telling your story on LinkedIn because I think you'll get an entirely different demographic of people on LinkedIn. You won't get the unsolicited nudes on LinkedIn, I don't think. So
it sounds much more exciting, to be honest.
LinkedIn is a place that I'm going to start sharing a lot more content. Yeah. And in fact, in this next couple of weeks break before I come back with season 3 of the Open Heart Collective starting in November, my objective is to actually start rolling the content out there as well. So seasons 1 and 2 will be available on LinkedIn soon because I think there's a lot of cool stuff happening over there. In the meantime, guys, if you are struggling, find help. Reach out to one of us. We're here for you.
Mm-hmm.
And I know we're all busy humans, but we're here. You had your hand raised.
I'm here.
Okay, I'm just gonna do a hand raising campaign to signify I'm here.
I feel like we should, you know.
Can we start? Like, let's talk off air about that, because I think that could be something.
I feel like that could be, yeah.
But in the meantime, guys, I like to end the video with or every video, whether it's a vlog, regardless of what it is, with this little mantra that I've started, and I'm going to put it in a T-shirt, I think, and then I'm going to sell the T-shirts, and then I'm going to donate all the money, because it's the kind of person that I am. Anyways, it's the following 3 points, right? First is be happy. That's very important. Now, when I say be happy, that doesn't mean that you always have to seek happiness. That means you have to allow yourself to feel and move and be through a situation, right? But the inevitable end goal is happiness. And happiness in whatever it means to you, because my version is not going to be your version. Second point, have fun. Because if you're not doing what makes your life fun, change it. If that's relationships, if that's work, if that's uni, like, change it, because you are the only one in control of how much fun you have in your world, nobody else. And the third point, now this one's important, but third point is hustle your ass off, because regardless of what it is that you do, it's going to take work. It does not come easy. There will be long nights, there will be blood, there will be sweat, there will be tears, there will be sacrificed relationships. There will be a lot that comes with it. But remember, my friends, there is no amount of hustle on the face of the planet, in the universe, that will bring you happiness or fun. So you have to have those two first. Really important. Second, and then to end it, I always get goosebumps right before I say this part. I say to make sure that you take time to breathe. Even if you just force yourself to say the word breathe one time a day, you'll actually force yourself to breathe. You'll force yourself to take that 3 seconds as you utter the word breathe to actually breathe, because that's important too. So until next time, my friends, thank you, Faye, for joining me. I'm going to have you stick around for one moment afterwards, so we can do a little wrap up. I will be back on Friday with the final episode of season 2 of the Open Heart Collective. My guest and final guest of season 2 is a dear friend and colleague of mine, Audrey Boyle. If you guys don't know who Audrey is, you're going to get to learn. And if you're like me and you're a researcher and want to find out beforehand, just Google Audrey Boyle, and she's a really incredible person who's doing really amazing things, and I'm blessed to know her. Anyways, in the meantime, my friends, we'll see you guys in the next one.